You know, in the world of Bitcoin, there are these giants lurking just beneath the surface. We call them whales. And one of the biggest, I'm talking a single entity that once held over $10 billion. Well, it's just started to move. So the big question is, are they about to create a tidal wave?
Okay, look at this number. 32,322 Bitcoin. This is the number that has the entire crypto market holding its breath. We're talking about a fortune that's just been sitting there, totally dormant for years, and now, all of a sudden, it's woken up. And let me tell you, when this much BTC starts moving, it is rarely a quiet event. The impact? Oh, it could be felt by pretty much everyone.
So what does this all mean, right? Is this just some whale reshuffling their digital assets? A totally routine transfer? Or is this a warning shot? The first move in a massive sell-off that's designed to tank the market? That's the mystery we're going to try and unpack here.
All right, let's get into it. To really understand what's happening right now, we've got to go back to the very beginning, to the exact moment this transaction first popped up on the blockchain.
At first glance, this wasn't some huge five-alarm fire. Wallets that have been sleeping for, say, 3 to 5 years, they wake up every now and then. It happens. Usually, these are your long-term holders, your hodlers, right? And yeah, their movements are interesting to watch, but they aren't always a reason to hit the panic button.
And just to give you some perspective here, over 837,000 Bitcoin from this exact same age bracket has already moved this year. But here's the kicker. Almost all of that was tied directly to the exchange Coinbase. It was probably just internal shuffling, nothing to see here. So naturally, the first assumption from the analysts was, okay, this is probably just more of the same.
But when the analysts really started digging into the nitty-gritty of the transaction, that nice, simple explanation just completely fell apart. The wallet addresses, they didn't lead back to Coinbase at all. Nope, they led somewhere else entirely. And that somewhere else was a whole lot more significant.
And it turns out, this wasn't just some faceless institution moving funds around. Oh, no. This was a single, absolutely massive, and very, very well-known player in the Bitcoin world.
Yeah, Bitcoin OG 1950 DJ. That's the name analysts have given this particular whale. It's a pseudonym, of course, but it represents a very specific player with a really long history in the market. And that OG, it stands for Original Gangster, which is a little nod to just how ridiculously early they were to Bitcoin.
So just how big are we talking? Get this isn't even their total stash, but analysts have been able to track at least 86,000 Bitcoin to this one entity. At its peak, that's a holding worth over $10 billion. Now that is some serious market-moving power.
And this is the thing. This isn't the first time this whale has made waves, not by a long shot. To really get why the market is so nervous right now, you have to look at their track record.
I mean, look no further than what happened this past August. On August 17th, this exact same whale started dumping 36,000 Bitcoin. And the result? Just a short time later, the price of Bitcoin plummeted by $10,000. Yeah, that's not a coincidence.
And we know for a fact the intent was to sell because of where those coins ended up. See, they weren't just moved to another cold storage wallet for safekeeping. No, they were sent straight to Hyperliquid. That's a decentralized exchange that's known for being a prime spot for large-scale selling. They weren't hiding what they were doing.
Okay, so that brings us right back to today. With that whole history of dumping fresh in our minds, what on earth are we supposed to make of this new movement of over 32,000 Bitcoin?
All right, so here's the breakdown of what's happening right now. So far, only a small fraction, about 3,000 BTC, has followed that old pattern and been sent off to Hyperliquid. But the rest, and this is a much, much larger chunk of over 29,000 BTC, that's just sitting in what are called change outputs. You can basically think of them as temporary holding wallets, just waiting for their next destination.
So this is basically where we stand right now. We have a known threat. That's the 3,000 Bitcoin already on an exchange, ready to be sold at any moment. But the much bigger fear here is the unknown. What's going to happen to that other 29,000? Because if that also hits the market, the selling pressure would be absolutely immense, and it could easily trigger another major price drop. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't just speculation. This isn't just guesswork. Based on this whale's established pattern of behavior, this is a clear, data-driven red flag waving for the entire market.
And that's really the bottom line here. This is not just some random wallet waking up after a long nap. It's a known, incredibly powerful entity that has already proven it has both the ability and the willingness to completely shake the price of Bitcoin.
It feels a lot like history is threatening to repeat itself.
And that really is the $10 billion question, isn't it? We've seen the setup, we know the player. The only thing left to find out is if, and maybe more importantly when, they're going to make their final move. And for now, the entire market is just watching and waiting.